Okay, so we all know there is a control group managing the UFO subject for the U.S. government, either within the government or adjacent to the government, and they have been in power over this issue for a long time. Well, how does that work exactly, and who gets access to the control group? Well, let's go over that because this is really interesting. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of future videos. Please share this video when it drops on social media. Then please comment below as I'm going through the story. Also, please consider becoming a channel member to support Cosmic Road and the work we're doing here. So just see the first line in the description below, or leave a super thanks with that feature below. That'd be awesome. Okay. So this is from the Eric. I'm going to go over a couple of different things. The first one is from Eric Davis in the Admiral Wilson notes, or the memo that has leaked out and more or less been confirmed by many people. So Admiral Wilson is talking about the audit that was done on the control group that he was told about. He was denied access to the control group. Although he fought very hard to get access and was denied and denied and denied. And finally they said, okay, well, we'll tell you a few things. There was this audit done a few years ago by some, unnamed, we don't know who did it. Somebody in the Pentagon apparently performed this audit trying to get access to the control group and see what was going on. And they actually did they showed that person around. I think they showed them a UFO. And gave them, some bare bones idea of what was going on, and then they worked out a deal so that wouldn't happen again. So let's go over what Tom said, and then we'll go over some stuff that Jacques Vallée has said about who gets access to the control group and how this is managed. So, Tom Wilson says, yes, same three: security director, program director, corporate attorney, call themselves the watch committee or gatekeepers of the control group. That's what he's talking about. The gatekeepers of the control group, or whatever, part of the control group he is running into. I'm sure it's pretty vast, but this is the section that he is running into and that he is aware of and trying to get access to. Eric Davis says, why that phrase or name pertaining to the watch committee? Tom Wilson says, I asked, they said they were formed out of necessity to protect themselves after a near disaster in the past almost blew their cover, something to do with an agreement that was reached with a couple of Pentagon SESs overseeing SAP's special access programs in those days. We're vague about when that was. Eric Davis says, what was this? Tom Wilson says, let me finish. They said years ago in past audit investigation led to them, and it wasn't supposed to. Nearly outed. Oh my God, can't imagine the control group being outed. What a disaster. And that would have been a disaster for them. It would have been really good for the rest of us. Maybe. We don't know what they know. He says there was a battle, a nasty back and forth between them and the investigator and his Pentagon chief ensued, like a tug of war for program transparency. They told me money was the issue. Their hiding out became the other issue. Some kind of threat was leveled to blow the lid off them, so they backed down and let the investigator in to complete his job. They work very hard to keep the program hidden. Yeah, really. Eric Davis says, what happened with that? He was officially briefed, given tour, shown their program. Did they show him a craft or hardware they said was alien or from a UFO? Tom Wilson says, didn't say more about that. Said after that episode, a formal agreement was struck with Pentagon people to prevent this in the future. Didn't want a repeat. Special criteria were established in agreement. A special circumstance that must meet rigorous access criteria set by a contractor committee. No U.S. government personnel are to gain access unless they meet the criteria to be administered by contractor committee, program director, attorney, security director, regardless of the tickets and position USG personnel possessed, literally their way or the highway. Eric Davis says, what are the criteria? Yeah, who gets access to the control group? Tom Wilson says, I asked for that and they refused to give an answer. And that's where I'm going to go next to what Jacques Vallée has said. Tom Wilson continues, I was mad. Implication is now, to me, they operate without official oversight or any justification. Politically dangerous place to be. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. They don't have any oversight. They're a rogue agency or organization. Richard Dolan calls them the breakaway civilization. And that is what they are, if they are as big as I am beginning to believe they are. And I don't know what small subset of the program he was butting into, but I have a feeling it was only a very small component. He says the purpose of meeting was to tell me this. So, hang on, I missed a part. Threesome concerned with who Tom Wilson had talked to at Pentagon or elsewhere, by phone, fax, email, wanted accounting of conversations, concerned about new exposure. Purpose of meeting was to tell me this. Eric says, what? That they weren't going to let me in the door. Why? They said my tickets were all confirmed and valid, but I was not on the bigot list. My tickets alone were not enough. I didn't meet the special criteria, so need to know authorization was not being granted. Went back and forth with them over these points, primarily with security director and attorney. Okay, so if Admiral Tom Wilson, who was or became the director of the DIA, if he couldn't get in, what exactly was the criteria, right? That's the big question. Who can get access to this stuff, to the control group or whatever part he was butting into? Well, let's go over to what Jacques says. Let's go over to Jacques.
One big question that Paola and I have had is, would Oppenheimer have been told? The Manhattan Project would have custody of it, and then it would go into the Atomic Energy Commission, and then it would go into the Department of Energy, which has its own line of clearances. And that's why I can't find among the people I know who have clearances above top secret, they've never heard of this.
Yeah.
They've never heard of this because you can be in the Pentagon with a top secret clearance, but if you're not briefed on the atomic secrets, you wouldn't get the clearances that you needed to do to open up that thing. One big question.
So there you go. So putting those two things together, Admiral Tom Wilson couldn't get access to the control group. He wasn't told why he couldn't get access to the special program. But if we can infer from what Jacques Vallée is saying, only people briefed into the atomic secrets could get access to the control group because it was all run through the Department of Energy. Now, they come up a lot in the research, which, shouldn't surprise anybody. I mean, these UFOs are operating with fantastic technology in some energy source, whether that's 0-point energy or element 115 or whatever. It's a fantastic energy source. And if we are indeed working with the beings, as many points of corroboration point to, and, as I have made a series of videos over the last few weeks, showing how there seems to be many points of corroboration, again, for us having our own UFOs, ARVs, whatever you want to call them, by the 1960s, and how the beings were actually helping us accomplish that. And it seems fantastic. Sure, well, go watch my videos, seek out the evidence for yourself and make up your own decision on that. but I've seen so much information coming from disparate sources, all confirming the same thing, that in the 1960s we had these craft and that we arrived at this technology by working with the beings, that there was some sort of technology transfer or exchange. Some think that's an exchange for abductions, for allowing abductions. Could be, who knows? Not me. But yeah, if you know, let me know. The control group, however, knows. And so if they did have this technology and they were working with the beings and they had this energy source, it makes total sense that the energy, Department of Energy would be involved with that, right? And especially if all of this stuff was wrapped up with the atomic secret stuff. So it's interesting that, Jacques has discovered this link between people who had access to the atomic secrets and people who were allowed into the control group. I don't know if that's true or not. I've seen a lot of evidence pointing, like Bob Lazar, for example. He did work at Los Alamos, so maybe he was read into the atomic secrets. I don't know. But it does seem like some people who weren't read into the atomic secrets have managed to get access to the control group or to some part of the control group. Maybe these are the extended control group, the periphery, perhaps. And I think it's from the periphery, maybe people not in the main program, but people on the outside, like Bob Lazar, who were just hired to do a certain thing. Perhaps, they are the ones that could come forward with the whistleblower immunity. I don't think anybody in the actual control group or who is in the program is going to come forward, because they have a cause, they have a mission, they have an agenda, they are part of something special and important as they see it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have kept this secret from us and for 70 years and brainwashed the public for all this time. They are keeping something secret and important. They think they are justified in what they are doing. It's the only explanation for the brutal secrecy, not just brainwashing, but people committing suicide, and etc. So I don't think those guys in the core group are going to come forward, but people on the outside, like Bob Lazar and that ilk of person in the program, might be able to come forward. So, but are the people on the inside read into the atomic secrets? Is the control group or some subset of the control group operated through the Department of Energy? That is a fascinating question. What is the overlap between the Department of Energy and the Air Force and the Navy and the Army? How much control does the Department of Energy have over them or with them? Because so much of this stuff seems to be operating out of the Air Force, especially. The Navy seems to have a part in it too. The Army is the one that has actually been the most pro-disclosure, actually farming this technology out, the Colonel Corso information, the day after Roswell information, farming this technology out to the private sector, and starting the computer revolution. We got various other technologies like bulletproof vest, fiber optics, etc., through this reverse engineering of alien technology that was all orchestrated by the Army. But the Air Force has been extremely tight-lipped on all of this, and that's because they're hip deep in all of this. Area 51 is through the Air Force, or is the Air Force. So, Wright Patterson, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah. So does the Department of Energy have any sway over the Air Force? Would be my question. I don't have an answer to that, but I think it's a fascinating thing to consider, that compounding what Jacques said with what Eric Davis wrote in the Tom Wilson memo leak. Those two things seem to go together pretty well. Tom Wilson couldn't get access to the program, and judging by what Jacques is saying, that's because he did not have, he wasn't read into the atomic secrets. Now, if you know anything about Tom Wilson and are able to debunk that, please let me know, because I don't know if he was read into the atomic secrets or not. But if he was read into the atomic secrets, that would seem to debunk at least a little bit of what Jacques is saying here. So it's fascinating to consider either way, guys. So let me know what you think. Please give this video a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. That'd be awesome. Please subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of future videos. Comment below. Like I said, let me know what you think. And until next time, this is Jack with Cosmic Road signing out.